So at Dentsu, we distinguish retail media from commerce media as retail media being a seller of advertising or seller of audiences that also sees a conversion event, and commerce media being a seller of ad space or audiences based on past shopper behavior, but not necessarily seeing the conversion event. And there's definitely been a growth in commerce media as retail media has really taken off, and now we've got other companies out there with valuable signal about what consumers are purchasing and getting into this commerce media space.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's almost as if commerce media is kind of upper funnel in a sense, but brand building perhaps, or other areas of performance, or what could you tell us?
It'll be interesting to see the shakeout of how commerce media fits in the overall media mix. Retail media, where the publisher, if you will, is seeing the actual conversion event, it's pretty clear it has a home with driving sales and bottom of the funnel. Now, there's also more you can do with audiences to tip people into the discovery process, to build brand. It can do more than that. Commerce media is interesting. You've got the signal of, okay, this is somebody that I think is in market or a potential shopper, but not necessarily at that moment of truth like you have in sort of retail environments. And so we're really seeing this shake out. Is that a mid-funnel play? Is it upper funnel? Could you make the case it is lower funnel? I think it really varies based on the category of the brand being advertised and the mix they're putting together.
So are there any areas that you find yourself educating clients on, or common questions when they try to understand some of these differences or nuances between, let's say, commerce media and retail media, or just any other element of commerce media?
Yeah, so at Dentsu, we believe that retail media, commerce media, is the only media channel where the objective of the buyer and seller is the same. And so our goal, our strategy at Dentsu is to empower retailers and brands to win with their shared customer. So we work with retail clients and commerce clients, and we work with brand clients. And the questions that we get from the commerce and retail side is, how big could this business be? How do I marry this business with my core business and the customer experience? How do I stand one of these businesses up? And we are in the service of helping them do that. On the advertiser side, on the brand side, the most common questions I get today are like, how do I structure my organization? I've got 2 different funding mechanisms for this activity. How do I build a team? How do I have the right agency model to support it? And how do I go to market in a way where it's not just a bunch of siloed executions, it's some sort of cohesive way to grow my business?
Now, it's interesting because, let's say in retail media, it seems as if it's kind of changed the dynamic as far as the relationship between the suppliers to retailers, like consumer packaged good companies that rely on the retailer for sales, but now they, as a customer to the retailer in terms of advertising, like how do you see those relationships changing?
The relationship between the brand and the retailer when it comes to advertising is very complicated. It's not like a traditional advertiser to publisher relationship, because the retailer is also their big customer. So you've got your customers on both sides. And it creates an interesting dynamic when it comes to negotiating large sum ad deals, because in many ways the brand can't walk away, right? So there's like a lack of leverage there. It's a long-term relationship. They both have shared interests, and that's part of the reason why retail media has grown so fast. I mean, it definitely has, because there's an express lane that retailers have to get access to advertising budgets by nature of their close relationship. But it's also, I would argue, led to some behaviors that need to mature when it comes to like decisions of how much to spend where, because it kind of grew up outside of the craft of media science and all of the work that we do to kind of make the right investment decisions.
And are there any similar dynamics on the commerce media side as far as companies becoming media outlets, and then just how their position in the marketplace may change?
So I think that commerce commerce media companies, as defined as publishers or ad sellers that have a signal of commercial intent, but not necessarily seeing that conversion or not necessarily being the endpoint for the purchase, they have a harder road than a retail media network that is the customer of the brand advertised. So the commerce networks really have to fight their way onto these media plans the same way any other publisher would. Now, they've got an interesting story to tell about the signal they have and how they fit into the shopper's life, but they don't have that inherent advantage of also being the advertiser's customer. It's a harder road for them.
Yeah, it seems as if every week I'm seeing another company setting up a commerce media network. I heard Western Union, the money transfer company is setting up one. And so with this, among this profusion, how do you, navigate the landscape or help your clients to navigate the landscape?
It's a really challenging moment to navigate the landscape of all your retail media and commerce media options as a media planner, to say nothing of the fact that commerce media it's both a destination and it's a layer, right? So it's like owned properties with ad inventory, and then it's this audience data that you can chase elsewhere. So that's a whole other element of complexity. Is it worth the price premium or not? And I would characterize the market right now as being an irrational market, where a lot of these funding decisions are being made by kind of arbitrary decisions, relationship decisions, because we don't have good standardization around reach, around attentiveness, around sales lift, around performance metrics, and that's why we're working so hard to bring that to bear, to try to rationalize and figure out how to navigate all these different choices.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because looking ahead, let's say in the next 6 months to a year, is there anything that you're hoping to see happen within this space, or perhaps something you're worried about, something that keeps you up at night? What's the outlook?
Well, I'm really excited about what's going to happen in the commerce media space. I mean, we're just scratching the surface of value that can be unlocked to grow business, mutual business. I think we're going to see a shakeout. We're going to see commerce media companies and retail media companies have to decide what business they're in, right? Are they going to be full-blown media companies and get in the content business? Are they going to be like shopper media on steroids and kind of build out from like a retail environment into digital media and audiences? Are they just going to be a data company and sell their data? I think there's going to be an awakening as everybody's now struggling to hit these revenue numbers they've promised their board, to figure out like where they have a right to win and how they're going to succeed.